Apple is the world's first and only trillion-dollar company. $1 trillion is a 1 with 12 zeros behind it. That's several hundred billion more than other Silicon Valley companies. If Apple were a country, it would be the 27th richest country in the world behind Pakistan and Malaysia. Without a doubt, Apple is the biggest, most profitable company on earth. That being said, there are a lot of people who don't like Apple or their products and would love to see it fall. Apple has gotten to a point where that's highly unlikely, but what if it did? Today, Life's Biggest Questions asks, what if Apple went bankrupt? Welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions, the channel that asks the fundamental questions of life. I'm Charlotte Dobre, and if this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you want to connect with the creative team behind Life's Biggest Questions, check out the description for all the links to our social media accounts. I'm going to take a quick moment to say that we at Life's Biggest Questions love it when our subscribers give us suggestions, but it is entirely possible that we may have already made a video you suggested. Make sure you search all our videos to see if we've covered a topic you would like to see. Nokia, Motorola, BlackBerry. These are just a few names of tech companies who have fallen from grace over the last 15 years alone. Remember when everyone thought BlackBerry phones were the coolest thing on the market? How about Motorola Razrs? I begged my mom for 2 years to get me a Razr. I absolutely had to have one. But these must-have products weren't sought after for very long because newer, better products hit the market. One of the main reasons why companies like Nokia, Motorola, and BlackBerry have fallen is a lack of innovation. They simply couldn't keep up with the changing times and the advancement of technology. The same could be said for what's going on with Apple right now. Steve Jobs was known for his innovative ideas, and now that he's gone, many of the new products Apple is putting out lack luster and are years behind their competitors. Apple phones just got a 1080p display, and Android users have had it for years. Not to mention, Apple products are a lot more expensive than Apple's competitors. In order for Apple to go bankrupt, something extremely horrible would have to happen to the company and its stock. They would have to mess up big time, repeatedly for several years. Loyal Apple fans would slowly have to lose interest in Apple products. Maybe other products would pop up on the market that would greatly outshine Apple's products, and Apple just couldn't keep up. Again, this is pretty unlikely. The most profitable country in the world could most definitely afford to hire the best engineers and create futuristic products to keep this from happening. This is just a hypothetical video. I'm outlining the ways in which an Apple bankruptcy could come about. Apple actually already almost went bankrupt 20 years ago in 1996. Microsoft, one of the major enemies of Apple, actually invested in Apple when this happened so that they wouldn't be a monopoly. It's crazy to say now, but if Microsoft hadn't invested in Apple, there would be no such thing as iPhones, iMacs, iPads, or iPods. Apple stocks went from $6 a share in 1997 to $80 per share by January 2006. By 2010, Apple's market cap exceeded Microsoft's. From near bankruptcy to the most valuable company in history, Apple's story is quite possibly the greatest comeback in history. But as within life, the greater the height, the farther you can fall. And if Apple went bankrupt, it would be a very far, painful fall indeed. If Apple went bankrupt, either Samsung or Google could buy the rights to Apple's intellectual property. Maybe Google could purchase Apple and keep the company alive. That being said, Androids would likely become the dominant phone company on Earth, or perhaps another company not yet created would emerge to take Apple's place. It should be noted that if Apple went bankrupt, that doesn't mean that Apple phones would cease to exist. They would still work. Working Apple products could become more sought after, perhaps even revered like antiques. Either that or they would be thrown out and forgotten. However, anyone who had purchased music or films on iTunes, or apps from the App Store, or iCloud storage would essentially lose it if Apple went bankrupt. When you agree to Apple's terms of service, you are only renting a song or title. It sucks, but it's true. It's also pretty unlikely that anyone would own an Apple computer anymore, because they would be difficult to upkeep. Once again, everyone would have a Windows PC. If Apple filed for bankruptcy, that doesn't mean the complete and utter end of the company. The fall of the Lehman Brothers was the largest corporate bankruptcy in US history. The Lehman Brothers was once worth $691 billion US. That's pretty close to what Apple is worth now. The Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy on September 15, 2008. Its major assets were scooped up by Barclays Capital and Nomura. General Motors went bankrupt in 2009, with assets worth $91 billion. It was kept alive by government bailout loans. General Motors returned to the public markets in 2010, and now the Treasury Department still owns 32%. Another way Apple could go bankrupt is as a result of an entire stock market crash and a deep economic depression, in which case many of the world's companies would also go bankrupt. And that's just a whole other topic of discussion, maybe even a future episode of Life's Biggest Questions. In conclusion, it's extremely unlikely that Apple would ever go bankrupt. But as we at Life's Biggest Questions like to say, never say never. For now, I'm Charlotte Dobre, and you've been watching Life's Biggest Questions. If you enjoyed this video, you'll love the playlist clickable on the screen right now. If you enjoyed your time here, leave a like and turn on those notifications, and we will see you in the next episode of Life's Biggest Questions.